back to the Washed Athlete Podcast. This is episode number 31 of this podcast. And on this podcast, we're just a group of college guys talking about anything that's interesting to us, from the gym to sports to Marvel to really anything in general. We do not have the full cast again. We actually won't have the full cast of us three plus Jacob and Andres for a little while. They're going on a bit of a hiatus because they are doing some very fun things outside of the pod. So they will be back eventually, but until then,
in the meantime, we will be holding it down.
Exactly.
All right. So today we got a lineup going on, and we're going to start off this podcast by covering some recent news stories that broke inside the sports world and outside the sports world.
Okay.
And get a little bit of reactions, thoughts going on it. Some of it will be pretty serious topics, and then other will be lighthearted.
Okay.
All right. So the first news story of the day is: did you guys hear about Patagonia?
Oh yeah, they sold their entire they sold all the money they have to I forget what organization, climate change.
Okay, so yeah, the Patagonia founder, Yuvan, I looked up how to pronounce his name before this, and I already forgot. Let's go with Yuvan, because that's how I spell his first name. He ended up selling the entire Patagonia company, which is valued at $3 billion, makes about $100 million profit per year. They sold it to a company that is credible in climate change, and now all the profits from the company, as long as it stands, will be donated directly to fighting climate change. The billionaire just straight up got rid of the company, all the money he's making, and is putting it all into the climate, which is really cool to see.
That's awesome.
And if you're somehow listening to this and you have no idea what Patagonia is a pretty well-known outdoor wear company. Has really, really, really nice stuff. It's a little expensive stuff, but it's really nice. And it's cool to see a company like that. Peter doing a quick change on the podcast just for this occasion.
I have shorts from them. These are Patagonia.
Show the shorts on the pod.
Yes. So here's the Patagonia logo. They're these nice, very high quality shorts. They're a little wrinkly because obviously I threw them in the wash. But, nice 5.5-inch inseams, perfect size, very lightweight, comfortable. Their gear is absurdly nice. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but now that I know it's going directly into climate change, I might buy more of their stuff.
No, low key, this is not only this is a business boost and good for the country and good for the world in general, which is really cool to see. It benefits everyone.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, I hope more people can do that kind of stuff. Whether it's I don't expect people who own these companies give up. I don't expect Google to give up their entire structure to the government and be go ahead. That actually may not be a great idea.
That's a horrible idea.
Yeah, it's a horrible idea. But I don't expect billionaires to just do that, but it is cool to see something as simple as just clothing can go to a good cause. So hopefully that money gets directed somewhere good, and there's nobody no rats up in the place.
Well, that was Mark Cuban recently. He is he made some pharmaceutical company who's trying to slash prices.
Oh yes, that's a great correlation. Let me look it up real quick. I looked at the prices and they're low key good.
Well, no, that was the entire idea, is that he will make a profit off of it, but basically he's just unmonopolizing healthcare and pharmaceuticals, because all the other companies kind of band together and are oh yeah, we can set the market price for insulin, which some people need to survive, at an absurd price because they can. And he's okay, well, I'm just going to undercut all of that, and I'll still end up making a profit off of it, but it's going to be way cheaper than what everybody else is doing.
And he's he's squeezing the market, which is either way it's gonna work, because then the pharmaceutical companies
they have to be competitive. They would have to drop their prices.
Absolutely, and this kind of I knew, especially Mark Cuban's company got a lot of traction when the government, mainly the Conservative Party, decided to shoot down the insulin reduction bill, which would have reduced insulin from whatever ridiculous price it's at now to a very affordable price for most diabetics, and so it's really cool to see. The company is called Cost Plus Drugs, and of course they're going to advertise it to be brilliant, but even if you just look on the page, the retail price for Prozac, which is a common drug for depression and other mental health issues, goes at $22.94, and they're advertising on their site for $3.90.
That's an insane price drop.
Yeah, and that's for a 30 count. So especially maybe it won't cost you $3.90 with your insurance, but what happens if your insurance isn't going through at the moment and you can buy 90 of them for $5?
Yeah.
So that's just like it's a big deal for a lot of people, especially people who don't have insurance to cover this stuff. And I don't know how many medicines they have. Actually, this is a lot. There's a lot of them. Wow. But it's just really cool to see people doing things like this, especially when like these issues become very political, like climate change and pharmaceuticals, and you can see kind
Even
of people
though it shouldn't be political, but it is politicized now. But
when you see people who have money and power and can actually like do something about it.
Exactly.
There's issues we can't do with this country that like require like constitutional amendments, but like reducing certain drug costs and giving money to the environment, like that, we can do stuff about that.
Yeah.
If the rich people at the top do something. So really cool to see. So that's a Patagonia first story break. Love to see it.
Down with Big Pharma.
And now we're doing a complete flop because these people are doing good things out there. And a billionaire owner, Robert Sarver, Phoenix Suns owner, recently got Phoenix Suns NBA, for people who are not aware. He owns the Phoenix Suns, and he just got banned for 1 year in the NBA and fined $10 million for just workplace misconduct, but specifically demeaning women and saying the N-word 5 times on record.
Gruden?
Yeah. Not Gruden. But kind of in a similar vein to Gruden.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Kraft?
That's very
I
different.
can go all day. Deshaun Watson?
I know. Like, I just, I don't know how, here's the thing. I understand as an owner how you could be so out of touch and just, be doing things that, you don't understand are, wrong. But, with how much the NBA has been, pushing, both player forward, contracts and stuff like that, and, just being almost always on, I don't want to say the cutting edge, I don't know if that's the right term, but, of, social movements, read the room, my guy. This just is not the time to be doing any of this stuff. It's horrible to be doing that at any time, but especially in the NBA, where they are always the ones they were the first ones to really come out when the BLM protests started, when COVID started, they were the first ones on top of that. They are on top of any social movement. So it's just to have him be fast and loose with the N-word and doing these horrific things to some of his assistants or higher ups that he's working with is absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, and for people who may be triggered by some of this stuff, you can just skip forward a little bit.
Yeah.
But in 2004, he was caught saying the N-word when explaining what a black person had said, and then someone there had told him that he couldn't say the word, even if he was speaking on what someone else had said. And then, so that's the first time it was reported, which if you get that behavior corrected, this isn't a big issue. But then again, in 2013, he said he did the same exact situation. Someone said something and then he was repeating it back, but using the word. And someone again reminded him, and this is, I think it's from Sarver and people, other witnesses. Someone had told Sarver he wasn't allowed to do that. In 2016, he did it again. And then on 2 occasions from 2010 to 2017, he did this again, recounting stories. So he has a repeated history of making the same mistake in the same situations, and people have reminded him that he can't do that, and he just continues to do it. And then additionally with the with these issues, I have too many tabs open right now.
Was the workplace misconduct
especially with women? He had made comments about his pregnant employees.
That
and, how their role is as mom and dads and stuff like that. And apparently they were made very uncomfortable, and they had let him know. He what else did he do? He made comments on women's breasts. He made other 6 other demeaning comments towards women. And at least 8 witnesses said Sarver used language that was crude and, quote, crossing the line in commenting on the bodies and attractiveness of the Suns dancers.
Okay.
Is this guy married?
Sarver is also accused of grabbing a male employee at a Suns holiday party and danced pelvis to pelvis with him.
Now that's a plot twist.
And he was accused of speaking about the size of players' genitalia. Just you go down the list and you're just this guy is just a piece of crap. And this is all coming from ArizonaSports.com and their story on this. If you want to go look it up for yourself, I'll try to put it in the link in the description if you're interested in looking about it. But simply, like, this is an awful look for the NBA.
It really
and
is.
I know players are not happy about it. Chris Paul, who's the president of the Player Association, has said something. LeBron James has already tweeted about it, and it kind of puts players like Chris Paul, Devin Booker, people who play for the Phoenix Suns, in a really tough position, because I'm sure they don't want to condone this, but also, like, at the end of the day, that's the team they play for and their contract.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, especially for people like Devin Booker, maybe they make a stand. Maybe they say they're not playing unless Sarver sells the team, or they just refuse to play, or they, even if they request a trade. I mean, I love Devin Booker. I never want him to leave the Suns, but this is a reason to do it, if any.
I mean, let's be real, Justin. If Devin Booker requested a trade to the Sixers, you would want that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they wouldn't do. There's no one we give up.
You can't even finish. Wait, hang on a second.
Well, especially if he's leaving Robert Sarver in that organization, that would be great. Suns do not have a good history of, in general, being an organization, and they've kind of turned it around the last couple of years. But again, it just sucks to see the guy at the top, a white old male billionaire, behave in this type of way. And this is not the only time it's happened in the NBA. Donald Sterling famously got completely axed. He was forced to sell the team to, and Steve Ballmer ended up buying it for the Los Angeles Clippers. That was the whole thing. He got like a lifetime ban. So I don't have the quote in front of me, but apparently they deemed that this wasn't racial. Like it wasn't like a let me see. The people who were doing the findings said that there was, quote, no finding that Sarver's conduct was motivated by racial or gender based like stuff. So, which seems really weird to me. Repeatedly using the N-word, after being told multiple times that it's not okay to say that. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah.
When you repeatedly being told, repeatedly doing this behavior,
you can't do this thing, and then keeps doing said thing. It's like, you're gonna be punished. Like, that's just how the world works.
And the first date I mentioned was 2004,
which, like, a very different time. But then, as you kept saying, it was like 2004, 2013. It was like between 2010 and 2017. Like, this is getting a lot closer.
This as of today, it's 2022, and he started doing this stuff all the way back in 2004. Yeah, which means this has been going on for 18 years. And I'm going to guarantee you that there's not some things he said in the past before 2004.
And also, this is all just reported things.
So, this is all report. Exactly.
Like, because, like, if he's saying this stuff and it's getting reported, that means people were offended enough to go and report it to somebody. Because, like, it takes a lot of guts to stand up to an NBA owner, someone who's probably your boss, probably your boss's boss, actually. And to be able to, like, actually do that, it takes a lot. So this is only what we know of.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope, for this story's sake, Robert Sarver, like, sells a team, loses ownership of the team eventually. I hope the players, like,
revolt,
don't play for him. It's just awful behavior, and something that the world right now doesn't need, especially a sport like basketball that has, like, so much cultural reach in other countries and our country alone. It has a very diverse, like, population of people playing the sport, and to have a guy at the top of, like, at one of the tops, who's an owner of one of the 30 NBA teams, be like this racist and this bad of a person, it sucks.
Very bad.
In other news, another awful story. Brett Favre.
No! I knew it. No.
Ross, that lighting is looking a little purple to me. You might need to...
It's blue.
I know it's blue. It does. I know it's blue. Yeah.
So anyway, for people who are not worried about the Brett Favre story, maybe if you don't follow sports,
you're not. Packers colors, no.
Brett Favre, who was the Packers ex-quarterback. If you're familiar with football at all, you probably knew who Brett Favre is. He was one of the greatest quarterbacks who's probably ever played the game. He played for the Vikings while he was a player. He played for the Green Bay Packers. Now he's just kind of, like, doing his thing. He was caught texting the Mississippi governor at the time, looking for ways to steal welfare money from the welfare system and invest it in his daughter's volleyball team to build a new court. And this also comes off of, like, him saying that he didn't want to be caught. If that makes any sense. So if you're looking at the story...
Have you seen the text, Justin?
I have, and I'll give you a quote right here because I have it in front of me.
Yeah.
Brett Favre is texting. I think his last name is New. the governor's name. Oh no, it was Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant.
I think
and
it's one of the assistants. I think she was a woman.
Yep.
I think
Nancy New. Yep.
Yes.
So Brett Favre texts Nancy New and he says, "Quote: If you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much?" And then after telling Favre that, the New says, "We never had that information publicized." And then Brett Favre is texting, "Wow, just got off the phone with Phil Bryant, who's the governor. He is on board with us. We will get this done!" Exclamation point. So pretty much like those texts are pretty much confirming it. Brett Favre was concerned about how the media would respond to him taking $5 million of welfare money from Mississippi and putting it into a basketball court where his daughter played, volleyball court where his daughter played. And I'm not going to take credit for this because I heard it on Nick Wright's show today and I heard it on Undisputed with Shannon Sharp. Mississippi is the poorest state in the United States.
Yeah.
And
by like a lot.
It doesn't matter what state this happened in. It's not right. But Mississippi is the poorest state in the country, and we took $5 million of welfare money, and this happened a couple years ago. It's not like right now. I think it was 5 years ago.
But it's coming out now.
But yeah, it's coming out now. But you took $5 million from the poorest state in the country to people who like welfare's people in the state, in the poorest state in the country, who are the poorest. Like they're like some of the most poor people in the entire country, especially in Mississippi. And he took that money and put it into like a volleyball court where his daughter played, and he wanted the money under his name. Like it made it look like he donated the money. And this is also coming off the back of Brett Favre being paid for speeches that he didn't attend and didn't give through like the Mississippi governor, through like the university or whatnot. So thoughts?
He's a scumbag.
Yeah, like honestly, wealth corrupts. It's just bad. Like it just makes you think. It like makes you think. Like this is what we know about like a bunch of like wealthy people. What do we not know?
A lot.
A lot. Which is why it's like if Brett Favre, who was like, you know, like before this, everyone's like, oh my God, Brett Favre, he was that guy. He was what made. I mean, I don't think he made Rodgers, but like he was basically Rodgers' mentor for a little bit, I guess.
Well, he hated Rodgers.
Well,
he was the Packers before Rodgers.
Yes, basically. Yeah. And like he's like, I wouldn't say he's a household name, but like if you're kept up with football, you know who he is, and it's just like, wow, imagine like. I know MJ isn't. I mean, I hope he isn't doing anything like this.
Oh God.
I hope he isn't, but like it just puts into perspective. Like you start thinking, and you're like, wow, are any of these other like well-known athletes or just anyone who's wealthy in general at this point doing something?
Because my thing is like, he's Brett Favre. Like he still has ad endorsements like everywhere. Like, wouldn't he have the money just to pay for this?
He should, based on his NFL contracts. He definitely should.
Yeah, or like instead of paying the straight $5 million, it's like, okay, genius, if you want the money, if you want your daughter to have a new facility, it's like, all right, you should have been thinking about this way in advance and actually plan it so that way you could like save up the money from your ad endorsements to pay for this. Like, it's not impossible, but the fact that he just goes like, oh yeah, you know, I know the mayor. I'm just gonna go shoot him a text real quick, and we'll move some money around. And it's like, and the fact that he knew that the media would be pissed if they found out and asked is so incriminating. It's so bad.
It's bad.
Like just asking, like, oh, like, are they gonna find out? Because he couldn't even play dumb, where he's like, oh, I don't know where the money came from. Like the mayor just said we could get this done. He was like, oh, will people get pissed if they find out?
Guess his net worth. I have it pulled up. Take a guess at what his net worth is.
What, 50 million?
50 million, yeah.
100 million.
Jesus.
Wow.
And
wow.
It says on the site, celebrity.
Is that including the 5 he got from Mississippi governor?
Yeah, probably. His salary is 20 million.
Wait, what? What is his salary? Who's paying him?
This is according to Celebrity Net Worth. I don't know how accurate it is, but I guess 20 million from endorsements.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes
endorsements,
sense. Because he still is doing like his Copper Fit commercials with, it's like him and Jerry Rice. What else is he in? He's in some other commercials, I think.
He's also endorsed by probably a bunch of like sports brands.
He's a newest member of the 33rd team. It provides football insight and analysis from former NFL players, head coaches, GMs, and executives.
Okay.
There you go.
He's joining the company with Bill Parcells, Bill Coward, and Michael Vick.
Oh, so he has a job. So like,
he does have a job.
All right.
Yeah, and this was in 2020. This article was written this summer on August 11th. So yeah, it's a pretty new thing. But it's just like when you think about like, especially now, I know hindsight's 2020. Jackson, Mississippi right now has an awful water crisis. Their water is
serious.
Super. Have you not heard about this?
No.
Let me pull up a picture. The Jackson, Mississippi water crisis is like really bad right now. It's like pretty much black, undrinkable water, especially like inner city Jackson, where your some of your poorest populations live. And just to think that like he took money away that could have gone to something like this, it's just again like egregious. And again, he didn't know this at the time, but that doesn't matter.
No.
So I pull up this picture right here for our video listener, for our video watchers. You can see the picture, if not on audio.
It's
We're
just
showing a picture. The brown water. You can just search up Jackson, Mississippi water.
Oh, I saw that on TikTok.
Yeah, like it's actually just like murky brown.
Like it literally looks like someone turned a faucet on and mud just came out.
Yeah. So just like with this going on right now and the story breaking, it's just like you really question. And I'm not going to get into. I don't want to steal all of Nick Wright's points that he said on his podcast today. But he kind of went on a rant, and it's like when people complain about like the poor people getting welfare, and then you see what people at the top like take away, how people take away their welfare money, it really makes you question like why they want to take away welfare or why they believe the way they believe, because these people were supposed to be getting that welfare and somebody took it away so they could build a new volleyball court so their daughter had a nice place to play. And it sucks to see that.
Really does.
So those are two sports scumbags doing their thing. But in lighter news, someone mentioned, I did not know who this person was, but did you guys hear about Trisha Paytas?
Oh, yeah.
What, her daughter being Elizabeth as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the story goes, Trisha Paytas, I just looked her up before. She's a famous like YouTuber. She has like 5 million subscribers. She had a kid moments after Queen Elizabeth passed.
I think it was 3 minutes.
Super close. So like this led the internet, of course, to go crazy and talk about like, oh my God, it's the reincarnation of Queen Elizabeth.
Because she also named, for context, she named her daughter Elizabeth like minutes after Queen Elizabeth had died.
I actually don't think that's true.
I think so. It was like, or like she posted it like very soon after the announcement of her death, but that the kid's name is Elizabeth.
Someone tweeted, one might say Trisha Paytas' baby is, quote, crowning.
Oh my God.
Sometimes Twitter is good.
So then Trisha Paytas goes on TikTok and says, story time, I did not rebirth the Queen of England.
That's a good one.
So just like a very like funny story, just like someone in like the public eye just having a baby like at the convenient time. But it does make me chuckle. I'm like, well, what if one day like this person becomes like, this daughter becomes like a big deal.
What if she marries into the royal family?
That would be ridiculous. Like who's is it Prince? Is Prince George like, actually Prince George is pretty old now, I guess, like maybe 5 or something. But like,
I don't know. Who
what?
knows? Maybe like his kids.
Hang on. Prince George, as in William's kid.
Yeah.
Never mind. I took what you were about to say very out of context about Trisha Paytas.
Okay, I was not talking about that. Yeah, Prince George is actually pretty old now, so I mean he's dying. Oh yeah, that's way too old. But anyway, it would be funny if she married into the royal family, the daughter. That would be hilarious.
That'd be so funny.
But that for everyone, that is our end of our news stories today. That would be a fun way to, and a fun and depressing way to start off the podcast. But we are gonna transition to bigger and better things, because the Pitt game happened this weekend. We are recording this Thursday and it's coming out on Friday. So about like 5 days ago, Pitt unfortunately took an L in overtime to the Tennessee Volunteers. Oh, terrible team name. But I was not there, but I was watching, and Peter and Raj were there. So you two take it away about our thoughts about the Pitt Panthers losing to Tennessee.
Dudes should not have gone for it with 10 seconds left in the second. We should have kneeled. We got the ball back. That's all we needed.
Yeah. for context, what Raj is talking about is right before the end of the half, Pitt was driving down the field. Slovis throw an interception or something, I think? Yeah. Slovis throws an interception, our quarterback. Tennessee starts driving, and then Pitt gets the ball back. And then instead of just taking just going into halftime, whatever, they tried to keep going down the field. And they turned the ball over again?
Because Keaton got destroyed.
Yeah, he fumbled it. Yeah. Because
it should have been called a roughing the passer.
It should have been a roughing the passer, but he got destroyed. Tennessee gets the ball. I think, did they kick a field goal or something afterwards? Yeah. So then, what was it, like a tie game or Tennessee up?
It was tied. Yeah, it was tied.
Yeah. So Tennessee ended up tying the game up right before half instead of just like us being up, and we would have just left it at that. And then also we would have ended up winning if they didn't have that field goal at some point. And also if we had a kicker that could actually kick for one season, it would be lovely.
Oh,
so
and a starting quarterback.
Oh, because our kicker pushed 2 field goals, both to the left. I don't know why after the first one we didn't go, okay, if he's going to pull it left, line up on the other hash, and then kick it. So that way it'll hook into the... Oh, God, it was so brutal. It really was, because we were the underdogs that game. We were technically supposed to lose, but our defense was playing their hearts out. It was...
in the second half.
It was a night and day difference between the first half and the second half. Even between the West Virginia game, the defense looked so much better. Just completely across the board. Secondary, run game, everything. They looked good. And our offense couldn't do anything. After the first half, they couldn't do a thing.
Yeah, and that partly contributed to our quarterback getting injured, which hopefully he's good for this weekend. I really haven't heard any updates on him. They keep college injuries very under wraps sometimes. Narduzzi after the game, the head coach of the Pitt Panthers, he was pretty much no comment. And then the other day he kind of said he said he's doing.
Raj. 3 hours ago, Deuce said Keaton is a game time decision for not Rhode Island,
Western Michigan.
Oh my God!
So it's not great. But what I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit was Pitt was ranked 17 going into the game, playing against I think 24 Tennessee.
Yeah,
and then we lose in overtime. And we were playing with a backup quarterback. We had injuries all over the field. I don't think our center or our right tackle, one of the two, didn't even start the game because they were injured. Then one of them went out in the middle of the game.
Our star sophomore running back was also out.
Yeah. Yep. So we had all these injuries. We played Tennessee into overtime, and we got moved all the way down to 23, and Tennessee went up to 15. Which for me, that feels like a really you would think Tennessee and Pitt would be ranked neck and neck. We took the game to overtime. So if they wanted to rank Tennessee above us because hey, listen, I know there was injuries, but a one-on-one matchup, they won. Cool. The fact that there's 8 spots between our two teams, makes me think either Pitt's going to climb up a lot because they're actually better than people think, or Tennessee's going to slide back a little bit because 8 spots off of Tennessee doesn't really feel right after watching that game. I mean, that game goes Pitt's way if Slovis plays the second half.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right with that. I think, honestly, as much you're going to need to censor this, Tennessee was talking during that entire game. The fact that Pitt really isn't the same powerhouse that it used to be without Kenny and without Jordan Addison, they're going to get smoked by the top tier SEC teams, and it's not going to be close. The fact that they were struggling against Keaton Slovis as the key offensive weapon and Izzy, when they get to Alabama and Georgia, they're going to get rocked, and it's not going to be close. It really isn't.
No, especially when you look at how Georgia's playing this year already. Now they're number 1 ranked. Georgia looks really good, and you're right. They're going to get annihilated, and you're thinking of adding teams like Texas to that SEC, which are going to be competitive. Tennessee at 15 feels really high.
Yeah.
And I don't know who they play the rest of the season or what their schedule looks like.
Yeah.
Don't worry, they play Bama October 15th and Georgia November 5th. Kentucky October 29th.
Kentucky looks good.
Florida September 24th. Yeah, they're going to get smoked by all these teams.
Well, hold on. Look at we go through a schedule real quick, right? They play Akron this weekend. They'll win that game probably. They play Florida, who's ranked 18. That's not going to be an easy game. They play LSU, which no matter when you play LSU, it's not going to be an easy game.
Exactly.
They play Alabama, Kentucky, who's ranked 9 right now.
Georgia.
Missouri,
Yeah.
South Carolina, who's a fringe-ranked team sometimes, and then Vanderbilt to end the season. Like, they're going to take a couple L's, and they're going to get smashed by Alabama, and they're in Georgia.
Will Anderson is going to rip that offensive line to
Shreds. It's going to be disgusting.
It really is. And like and I think you're also right. I think Pitt's in like that weird spot like where like we clearly had like the best season we have had in the past like 50 years, basically.
Yeah.
But we're definitely not as good as we used to be. But I think once we start firing on all cylinders, we are a good team. Like we really are. Like when our defense is playing well, when our offense can move the ball, when the run game gets going, we are a good team.
When our kicker can make a field goal.
Yeah. Our special teams just.
And like I said, I don't know if we're actually 23 or if we're 15, but I do know that we're not 8 spots worse than Tennessee, because I think if you play that game, if you replay that game with Slovis not getting injured, with everyone staying intact for the most part, then
I think Pitt wins that.
I think Pitt wins that game. I mean, Tennessee didn't score anything until overtime, and even for people who are not familiar with the game listening, our backup quarterback got super hurt in the second half, and he was literally like actively, like visibly limping every single play, not putting weight on his knee. So just the fact that we even escaped that in overtime was cool. But I mean, I think a really exciting start to the football season with West Virginia and Tennessee. We will play this weekend against Western Michigan, who's the team that really, like, last year Pitt was having a great year. Everything was off to a great start, and we lost Western Michigan, who was unranked at the time. And it kind of like, it didn't derail our season. We still won the ACC championship, but it was a big hurt in putting us in like fringe college football playoffs talks.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I think that was good for Pitt that they lost, because they got humbled real quick early on in the season, because like there was some clear issues in the secondary that ended up getting cleaned up eventually. But that was where it was like, oh, we can be beaten by a team that doesn't make mistakes. So you have to be a lot better. Because that was one of, like, I think Raj and I were standing next to each other during that game. That was probably one of the worst secondary plays I've ever seen out of a college football team. Because they ran 3 different plays the entire game and beat us. It was a quick slant and a read option. That was it. That was the only 3 plays they did. And
like,
they just marched down the field.
We couldn't guard against an RPO. Like, come on.
Yeah, it was a quick slant to a tall guy, and then a run-pass option for those that don't know football. It's where the quarterback takes the ball, turns, looks at the one defender on the outside. If that defender goes in, he pulls the ball and runs. Or if that guy sits still, he just gives the ball to the running back. That's it. It is a very simple concept, and Pitt could not comprehend what was going on.
The fix to an RPO is have your corners play inside eye, so you jam them at the line so they can't slant in time, and have a linebacker sitting as a spy ready to take the QB out if the DN steps up.
Yeah, so of course we are just like armchair coaches from the stands, of course, but hey, I got on the field this week, so I can call myself technically a coach.
Peter, you want to go through that story a little bit?
Yeah. So, for those that don't know, I am a student section leader of the Panther Pit. It's like what our student section is called for football games. And I get led into the game a little bit early. I would go through like a side gate, whatever. And I was like, had to save like the entire front row for like some other people that were like doing some like extra work, volunteering to like help out the stadium and stuff. So I was sitting in the front row, like waiting for like the gates to open and everybody else to come in. And I was just like sitting there kind of like looking at the field. And this was like 2 hours before the game's going to start. So I'm like, okay, I'm chilling. I'm in, whatever. I'm just going to like sit here and relax. And then this guy like comes up to like my side and goes like, hi, my name's, I think it was like John or something. But he's like, hi, my name's John. I'm from the Pennsylvania Lottery.
John.
Yeah, I know. I don't think that was his name. I'm just going to go with it. But he goes, hi, my name's John. I'm with the Pennsylvania Lottery. So during halftime, we have somebody go out onto the field and throw some footballs at some targets to win some money. Would you be interested in that? And I was like, yeah, I'd be interested in that. Are you kidding me? That sounds awesome. And he's like, okay, cool. Like, just like meet me up here and like partway through the second quarter, and we'll like take you down, whatever. And I'm like, okay, like this is gonna happen. All right. So then I go up there, and it's really funny because like he says like 12 minutes into the second quarter, I got to go up there so that way they can like figure everything out. So as I am walking up, that is when Gavin Bartholomew has his ridiculous touchdown catch, which is utterly insane. Like, as I'm walking up, I'm like turning around, I just see like a 6'5" tight end hurdle a dude, and I'm like, oh, he's gone. I just keep walking up. So that was hilarious. But then I meet up with the guy. He's like, oh, like good to see you, whatever. And he takes me straight down one of the rows of the seats, directly onto the field. And I'm like, oh, like this is like happening. Okay, we're just doing this. So then I get moved like all the way around to like the opposite corner from where the student section is. So like kind of in like the back corner on the other side. And I am like probably 10 yards like into the sideline, whatever. I'm like right next to the ESPN people. Like I have no idea what's going on. And they're like, yeah, so like they kind of like explain like how everything works. They're like, yeah, so there's going to be these targets on the ground. You're going to be standing at midfield. So one's going to be 10 yards away, one's going to be 30 yards away, one's going to be 50 yards away. You just got to throw the footballs at them. You got 10 tries and just hit them. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just like looking around and I'm like, there's no reason for me to be here. Like there are some like actual important people. Like there's a dude in like a Pitt shirt with a mic and someone's camera on him and he's just like talking the entire time. I'm like, what am I doing here? So the guy that I was working with, he comes up to me, he goes, okay, so right when the clock hits 0, you need to run directly onto midfield because this, like, we need, like, this is the first thing we're doing at halftime. So, like, we need to, like get it started and get everything set up. So, like, the second it hits 0, before the players even get off the field, you need to run onto the middle of the field. And I'm like, okay, like, I guess I'm doing this. So clock hits 0, and it took so long for that to happen because there was like the constant like change of momentum where like Pitt turned the ball over, Tennessee turned the ball over, Pitt turned the ball over again, and it like
there's no way at this point that you're like really locked in on the game, right? You're just thinking about.
Oh no, I am. Yeah. Like I brought because like for every game Pitt has like these rally towels that they have. I had one of those like on my back like a quarterback would because my hands were soaked in sweat. Like, my hands were just shaking. I was like, oh, my God. So then I'm just, like, grabbing that towel, trying to wipe my hands off. I'm like, okay, I guess this is happening. So that's why I asked about, like, the turnovers and stuff, because I had no idea what was happening. I was just kind of there for the good times. But clock hits 0. I run out onto the middle of the field. They throw like 3 footballs at me, whatever, in, like, a bag. And I will say, they weren't actual footballs. They were, like, close to normal size, but they were definitely like not the standard footballs. I don't know how to describe them. They're kind of like rubbery. They're not like true footballs, but they were pretty close to size. And then like as they're like announcing it, whatever, I like look at the Jumbotron that's right in front of me, and it's my back, and I like turn. And then it's the camera guy is standing there on the field. They're like, oh, like, this is Peter. Like, he's going to throw these footballs. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with the camera on me. I'm just going to stand here awkwardly, I guess. Like, oh, my God. Because they tell you everything up until, like, the actual, like, minute details where it's like, oh, yeah, like, look into the camera. Don't look at the camera. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to look into the camera and wave, I guess. I don't know. So they tell me to go. So, throw my first football 10 yards, miss. I'm like, oh, off to a great start.
Wait, where are you throwing it into again?
It's these, like, probably, I'd say, like, 5 by 5, like 5 yards by 5 yards, just, like, these flat targets on the ground. Because when they said targets, I thought they were going to be, like, stood up, and I'm like,
is it kind of like in the Pro Bowl where they throw it deep and it, like, bursts through it?
No, not at all. It's flat on the ground.
It's like a tarp. It's literally just, like, a tarp on the ground with a target on it, and it's, like, just hit anywhere on the tarp, and then like
I see.
Counts. So yeah, I throw it 10 yards, overthrow it immediately. So I'm like, okay, I gotta throw a little less gas on this. So second one, hit it, and I'm like, okay, feeling good. And I'm like, okay, 30 yards. And of course, before this, I was warming up my arm. I was like stretching out my shoulder and stuff. Because I'm like, the last thing I want to do is like tear my shoulder in front of like 30,000 people. And I'm like, okay, let's not do that. So then I get the second one. I like try to hoist it out there a little bit. It like curves to the right, and I'm like, okay, I gotta step this up. Got the second one, throw it. It's like a little bit short this time. I'm like, okay, I kind of like zeroed that in. So then I get the next one, throw it dead center. I'm like, okay, good. I'm like 5 throws in. I'm feeling good, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go throw this ball 50 yards now. I'm like, okay. So I grab the ball that's next to me. I back up like 5 yards, and I'm like, I'm gonna crow hop and just throw this thing as hard as I can because I have no idea what my arm is actually looking like because I haven't thrown a football in so long. So I take this thing, I crow hop, and just hoist this thing. And it gets a good spiral on it. I was pretty surprised. I was like, honestly, I'm glad I didn't just throw this directly into the ground. That would have been terrible. But I throw this thing, and I'm like, oh my God, that's got distance on it. And it hits just before the target. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
So I take the next one, and I'm like, okay, I gotta just end this right now because I don't want to be out here for any longer because then when it comes down to like the last couple throws, I'm going to like overthink this and I just can't do that. So I take this ball, like step back 5 yards, crow hop, and just let it loose with everything I got. Like someone has a video that they sent me and my leg fully comes up. It's the worst form I've ever seen throwing a football.
Like you're throwing a baseball?
It's like I was like combination throwing a baseball and a football because like I had it like well where like my rotation was good, but I like my hips fully just came through with this. Like it was almost like a janitor throw in baseball where like you would like throw and then like over rotate, like roll into it. Mm-hmm. So I throw this thing and I'm like, okay, come on, this has got to hit. And like I see it's getting close, so like don't hit the exact same spot, and it lands just on the target, maybe like a foot inside of it. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Like I was honestly just more relieved than anything. So yeah, I had the camera guy back on me. Everybody started clapping. I started hyping up the crowd. I was like, you know what? I've got one shot at this. I might as well do it. So that was good. And then they said like, oh yeah, you could win $100. And I'm like, oh, that's sick. I just won $100. And then like, you know, like I have to like run off the field, even though no one told me like what to do. I just see everybody else running off the field. I'm like, okay, I guess I got to leave now. Run off the field, whatever. And then I'm like standing there. Everyone's like congratulating me and everything. And then the guy I worked with pulls out lottery gift cards. And he counts out 5 $20 lottery gift cards. And I'm like, oh, it's the Pennsylvania lottery. That makes sense. Oh, wait, I think I might have them. Hang on, give me a second.
While Peter's gone, that first throw he did was absolutely horrendous.
Oh, welcome back.
Oh, no, yeah, it was terrible. First throw, I overthrew completely. I was like, good God, this is terrible.
You weren't supposed to hear that.
As soon as you threw that, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be bad.
Yeah, I know. I was like, all right, well, now it's time to lock it in. But yeah, so I have 5 of these free $20 lottery gift cards that I have to go redeem at like a gas station. So, and I have a feeling with my luck, I'm going to get like $8 out of this, but like, you know what? Honestly, I'll take it for the experience over anything because like $100 would have been very nice, but I'm honestly just glad I didn't embarrass myself in front of 30,000 people, even though I kind of did at first, although they kind of got the nerves out of it because it's like, all right, I overthrew the first one perfect. But yeah, it was a good time. I had to kind of check my ego a little bit because I was kind of like walking around and everyone was like, yo, that's the guy. And I'm like, yes, I am the guy.
Yeah, I am that guy.
I am that guy. And of course I was dressed up like an absolute schmuck. I had my blue cutoff Pitt shirt with a yellow arm sleeve and a Pitt headband with the towel tucked into the back like a quarterback. I looked ridiculous. But that was kind of the point. I also had my alternating blue and yellow sneakers on. That was also just part of the look. But yeah, that was a very interesting experience. Never thought I'd be able to do that, but ended up working out well.
That's a great fun fact for anything ever now. Like any
fun
team builders.
Facts, I won $100 of lottery tickets.
I've got questions.
Shoot.
All right. Was the crowd hype? Like, could you feel like the Acrisure Stadium like energy while you were like hoisting these footballs?
Absolutely not. No one can.
It was actually just me, Andres, Jamie, and all
it literally because like everybody else had already gotten up and like left to go like get food and stuff for halftime. So it really there weren't too many people in the stands by this point.
That's such a shame.
But like people were clapping like at the beginning, and then like everyone's like after the overthrow, everyone went ooh, and I'm like, oh God. But then after I threw like the first long ball, everyone like I could hear like a little bit of a buzz, and I was like, okay, like I got this. And after the last one, like that, I did get a cheer, but it wasn't like it didn't really feel like much. Like won't be gas myself up too much.
That's awesome. I would like when I got the text that you were doing that, I was like, "What?" Like it felt surreal. I was like, if I'm like upset I was not there to see this.
Honestly, I thought you'd have to go kick field goals like the dude from the WVU game. And
Yeah.
if you had to kick field goals, that would have been very bad.
So
Oh, no.
so
If the
funny.
dude said I was kicking field goals, I might have just said no, because I know I can't do that. Like, and I'm not embarrassing myself.
You got 3 chances, you just got to make one of them.
I know. And they actually, the people that were like organizing it were saying they liked that one, like what I did, better than the field goals, because it actually gave people a shot. Because like no one can kick field goals, but like you can throw a football.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe not 50 yards, but like at least it's like, okay, you can throw a football 10 yards. You can get something. And then it's like from there you can just like keep going. So yeah. It's gonna be an
That's
interesting
awesome.
time.
That is, Peter is like kind of a celebrity now. The
He
campus,
is him.
I am him.
The campus has been buzzing about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The title of this video is now going to be "Peter is him" in all caps. So if you got made this far in the podcast, you know why the title is what the title is. That is great. So yeah, that's our little bit of a Pitt game update. But the most important update of the week is our fantasy week update. So every week, I think during the podcast, we're going to update about how our fantasy teams are doing. Again, we're not going to like really be talking in depth about each games and each players, but just kind of overall how our fantasy football team season is going. And we are going to start off with Raj, who caught a dub, maybe not a pretty dub, but a dub nonetheless this weekend against one of our friends. Raj, give us your thoughts on your fantasy team's first performance.
Hold up, let me pull up my fantasy team. I'm in like 4 of them, so I kind of get lost.
Do you need me to say your team?
I got it. I'm just loading up the app. There it is. I didn't know it had PEDs.
It wasn't it wasn't always pretty, Raj.
Yes, I know. So Josh Allen, you know, he put up some great numbers. Austin Eckler kind of let me down. Leonard Fournette, he played decently well, actually. Let's see who else. Jalen Waddle surprised me a little bit. He played pretty decently. Then Chris Godwin decided to get hurt. That was nice.
Mm-hmm. Nice 6 points right there.
Let's see. So then I picked up Curtis Samuel to replace him for now. At tight end, Dawson Knox decided to woke up and felt dangerous. 1 pass, 1 catch for 7 yards.
You mean wake up? It's not woke up.
Yeah, close enough.
He decided to wake up and feel dangerous. Yeah.
He decided to woke up.
James Conner, a respectable 16 points. I'll take it. I did switch out my defense from Eagles to Bengals, I think.
No, you played the Eagles week 1.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I pulled the Eagles defense out because I didn't want them after. It was an okay kind of showing. It wasn't
5 points is solid.
Yeah. My kicker, Dan Carlson, I think he just put up normal numbers. Yeah, 9 points. And then Bill's head coach put up a solid 8.
No, you played the Eagles head coach.
Oh, I did? Oh, right. I switched my lineup. Eagles head coach put up, what, 1 point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so overall, respectable week for me. I mean, it was a pretty solid numbers, I guess. Nothing compared to you or Jacob or Mira.
Yep.
But, hey, whatever. We'll see what happens this week against Jacob.
So now, of course, we have to talk about the best fantasy match of the week was Peter and I going
Come on,
head to...
DeAndre Swift will never play like that again, and you know it.
Listen, sir, all I know is Peter and I had a showdown in week 1 of the season, and I'll just say here that it did not end well for Peter. Peter, I know you're a little salty about some injuries, so let's get your thoughts on week 1 of the fantasy season.
Look, I swear, every single fantasy year, it's not even funny at this point.
I think it's really funny.
Just get injured.
It's a skill issue. Why do you draft him?
Okay, how am I supposed to account for any of this?
Well, the first 2 seasons, CMC's your fault.
Okay, he's not the one that's injured, genius.
Now, I think you're just cursed at this point.
Okay, so I have a list. So I have 2 fantasy teams. That's it. I had 5 players across 2 fantasy teams get injured this week. So I had T. Higgins out with a concussion partway through the first quarter. Elijah Mitchell out for 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. Najee Harris was out partway through the game with foot injury.
Foot injury.
Harrison Butker, my kicker, was out on my other league.
He messed his foot up on the kick.
And Keenan Allen hurt his hamstring partway through the game, even though he was looking nasty. So yeah, I don't want to hear any of your crap, Justin, because I have the worst luck ever. All right?
I still think it's a skill issue. Just draft better.
Raj, I can't wait till half your team tears their ACLs, and then
Not
I'll go look
gonna
at you
happen.
and say it's a skill. Okay,
I'm not
when
cursed.
it does, or because I drafted Jalen Hurts, when he tears his ACL, you know that's your fault that you're saying that. So
We got Gardner. I don't care.
okay, but yeah. Also, no one else was beating Justin this week. He had a ridiculous week this week. Like half of these players are not putting up that many points the next coming weeks.
I don't know about that. I'm feeling dangerous this year.
Oh my god, here we go.
So part of the fantasy problem I've been having is I'm in 3 leagues, which might not be a lot, but I have way too many competing interests. Like during example, the Eagles were playing the Lions. I have 2 Lions players across two different leagues. So I was like, man, I really hope these players do well. But then I was like, but I need the Eagles to win. And then it's a little too stressful right now. Honestly, I do think fantasy football actually gives me stress. Like I think there is a physiological reaction in my body taking place because of fantasy football, which is probably not healthy, but it's fine. Top down quarterback, solid performance. DeAndre Swift, great numbers. Kareem Hunt, RB2,
Never gonna happen
day.
again.
Devontae Adams, 30 points. AJ Brown, 25. Kyle Pitts, disappointing. I'm gonna be honest.
And it's gonna be like that all season. With
Christian.
Drake London's taking all his catches.
No. Drake London had 5 catches, sir. Don't worry about it. Christian Kirk, great game. Baltimore defense,
Never gonna
solid
play like that
performance.
again.
Shut up! Like you're Christian
Jake
Kirk
Elliott
is not a good flex. Shut up.
Christian Kirk is wide receiver number 1, sir.
He plays on
Wide
the
receiver
Jags. He sucks.
Wide receiver, any wide receiver 1 is good enough wide receiver in my book. He's rostered in 90.
Who did the Jags play?
Washington.
They played Washington.
They're horrible, dude.
Who's their best corner?
Listen, I'm starting Christian Kirk at flex all year. I will not move him from flex unless like otherwise indicated. So
what? You say you're starting him all year unless he's bad.
No. I'm gonna hold out. No. Like I'm holding out hope unless like another player on my bench starts going electric. Like unless like Garrett Wilson suddenly becomes like the next like I don't know. There's no Jets receiver that's ever been good. So it's kind of hard to make comparisons. But unless like I don't know. We'll say George Pickens turns into Antonio Brown. Christian Kirk's gonna be flex. all year.
We don't want Pickens to turn into AB.
Just like
I do.
20. What was the range where he was just good on the Steelers? So it wasn't toxic. Like 20 whatever to like 2018.
Pre-2018.
Yeah,
pre
2018 AB was
Before the CTE kicked in.
Oh god.
Mhm. But now this week we are projected to win, which is a great sign. We're probably going to take the dub if I'm being honest. I could not be
4K
less
here.
concerned.
4K.
But yeah, we're feeling good on the fantasy season. Jacob, he's not on the pod and won't be for a little bit, but I will give Jacob his flowers. He did have a great week.
Because Saquon's back, baby. That's why he got carried.
He
also has Jay Jettas.
Yeah. Who he said, quote, I didn't want Justin Jefferson. He dropped 39.
Yeah.
The best part about Jacob's whole thing is Aaron Rodgers is quarterback. He scored 4 points.
Aaron Rodgers is not a good fantasy quarterback.
And then he also has Josh Jacobs who scored 8. So he had Saquon Barkley go 33, Justin Jefferson go 40, Michael Pittman go 27, Travis 26, and then Marquise Brown had a nice solid 14.
Yeah.
So Jacob did have, and he had Michael Thomas on the bench that day. Why does Jacob have Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers as quarterbacks? That's a really cringe.
Bro has both
Anyway, so this should be an interesting week. I don't think we have any pod matchups this week. We do not. Oh wait, no. Jacob and Raj are playing each other. And Jacob's currently projected to destroy him.
All right, relax. Projections don't
smack. You're gonna get smoked.
Projections don't mean anything.
Okay.
You should know that, Justin.
Why should I know that?
Didn't I beat you last year really badly at one point?
I don't look in the past.
Bro.
I look in the future, and I see great things in my future.
I don't know.
It was stuck in the past as per usual.
I sound like a Giants fan.
Sound like an Eagles fan. Shut up. You're looking at 2018.
We're back,
Right-
baby. It's 2018 all over again.
Bro,
right
dude,
right now,
bro.
looking at it, we've got Jacob is projected to finish number 1. I mean, these final projection rankings are usually a bunch of crap, but anyway.
Oh, so when I
Peter-
say projections are crap, I get.
No. I'm giving everyone the full perspective. They can come back to this pod in a couple
Okay.
weeks. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Jacob's projected to finish number 1. Raj is projected to finish number 3. I am projected to finish 5, and then Peter
7th, I
projected
think.
to finish 7th. And I
Yep.
don't know. I think is Andres' team's Chubb something?
Yeah.
No, he's projected to finish in dead last.
Well,
Um,
after his lackluster performance against our friend,
Also, I don't.
that's bad.
The drafting of Aaron Jones was a wild choice.
Yes.
Yet again.
Andres?
Yeah,
He had Aaron Jones
He
last
did-
year, and he let him down badly.
quite.
Oh, he didn't. Yeah, this year he's got Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb as his running
Yeah.
backs. Yeah,
Oh, wait,
Andres
does
had a
he
rough
not have
week,
Aaron Jones?
but no, he doesn't.
What?
Oh, who has Aaron Jones?
I don't know.
Oh, Mira does.
Oh, right.
Oh.
Because then didn't Aaron Jones put up a decent
Yeah, he
amount
put up
against them?
something.
Yeah.
Had an elite performance in week 1, and then just
Never again.
So it'll be interesting. Fantasy football again gives me a lot of stress. If you guys are also stressing about fantasy football, leave a comment down below. And we've got a couple minutes left before we sign off on the pod today. So we are going to quickly run through our football updates this weekend, which is going to be us talking about how we feel about our football teams going into the week. Again, not a in-depth look, but just more about how we feel about our team. And Peter, it was good week 1 for you. You took the dub against the Titans. I would say it's definitely an upset. You are on top right now. This is the first time the Giants have had a winning record since they took that yacht photo down in
Yes.
Miami. So
Yes.
good vibes. And
Very
as
good
of
vibes.
like an hour ago when we started recording, Kayvon Thibodeau is reported to is going to highly likely to play this week.
Yes.
So Peter, give us your Giants update. It must feel good right now.
It feels very good. Saquon is back. He had 194 all-purpose yards, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion. Dables of Steel is an actual monster of a coach. Going for 2 on a goal line, that situation was yes, that's exactly what I want out of a head coach. Because especially when you're the underdogs, it's like if you have a chance to go for the win, go for the win. Do not play it safe. Honestly, once the Giants started getting in stride, I think they were doing a really good job. I think the issue was it was late in the game. I think the defense was tired because they were abusing the Titans, because the Titans should have blown the Giants out of the water. Let's be very clear. The Titans are a much better team across the board than the Giants. They should have beat us. But I don't know how the Giants defense was able to contain Derrick Henry to 84 yards or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Tay Crowder dropped the hammer on Derrick Henry at one point and threw him, which I didn't even know was possible.
Oh no,
I thought-
the king and queen died in the same weekend.
Yeah, it was one of the biggest hits I've ever seen on a football field, let alone to a linebacker carrying the football. That was a wild situation. But I'm feeling good. Giants squeaked out of there with a win. Easily could have gone one way or the other, so I'm glad they ended up getting the win, but can't let that go to your head too much. And that's what Coach Dable has been saying a lot. Has been hey, no matter what the situation is, we are 1-0 right now, but that game came down to the wire, everybody. If we had lost, I would be saying the same thing. Came down to the wire. You all put your hearts out there and on to the next one. So hopefully, I just want the Giants to go above 500, man. That's it.
I forgot to update my lineup.
Catch that L.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire's on my bench, and he's probably going to play decently.
L.
Oh,
Eat
Oh
it.
wait, I told you in another league if I should play. Is he playing well now?
he has 2.9 after one drive.
Dude, listen, I asked, so I wanted to make it clear on the podcast. I asked the group chat of us pod guys if I should play. What was the player? It was a receiver.
Wasn't a rookie receiver?
I asked if I should play Jalen Waddle or if I should play
Yeah.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I was leaning towards Edwards-Helaire, and then everyone
Didn't
else told me I
Jacob
should
say
play
Waddle? Yeah.
I think everyone said Waddle, and I was like, all right, I could see it. I'm feeling confident about Edwards-Helaire, and now I feel like
You're gonna blame. You have it out though. You have it out. You can blame the pod if.
no, I have
Edwards-Helaire
no one
does
else to
better.
blame but myself if this happens. Because I should have just gone with my gut, but we'll see. We'll see how the game ends. Maybe Waddle will have a great game.
How you
Raj,
fans
Eagles
doing,
update.
though? Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall offense looked like it started to click. I mean, maybe get Smitty involved a little bit, but AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, they are that connection. They are those guys. I want to see more because we can spread the ball to Devontae Smith and stretch the field a little bit, but I don't know what was up with that. But run game, what's his face? Miles Sanders. For once, he actually played well.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And we had 4 different rushing touchdowns scored by 4 different people. So, like, the offense is clicking. It's going to get there even better soon. Defense, I mean, it was okay up until a certain point in the game where we decided to let them back into the game. We were getting torn up by St. Brown in the secondary. That should not have happened, especially considering we have Slay and Bradbury and CJ DJ. Did I even say that right?
It's Gardner, so it's CGJ.
CJ. Whatever.
CGJ. Yeah.
The guy from the Saints.
Yes.
Yes, but considering we have those 3 powerhouses in the secondary, that should not have happened. But whatever. The Eagles pulled out a dub. We shouldn't have let the Lions drop 35 on us, but we'll see what happens against Minnesota.
Yep. It'll be interesting. It's kind of hard to take a lot from week 1. Wild things happen in week 1. So like getting out with the win is the most important thing. So I'm glad about the win. Minnesota's a really good team. They have a lot of good players. So our defense needs to be ready because Justin Jefferson is going to gritty all over Lincoln Financial Field if we don't get it together. So hopefully that's good. But Darius Slay has been constantly ranked one of the best cornerbacks in the league. So hopefully he can kind of like pull it together a little bit. I think the Lions are a better team than most people think. I think they have a lot of talent on that offensive end. I'm not of the party that Jared Goff is crap. I think he might not be the quarterback that can win you a Super Bowl, but I think he can get you pretty dang close. And that's when you saw
he'll take
Rams
you to the Super Bowl.
Yep, and you know what? That's better than most teams have ever done in NFL history. So,
Yeah.
like Jaguars.
Very true.
So, looking forward though, Minnesota game should be really good. Peter, who are the Giants playing?
Carolina.
Oh, okay. You might go 2-0. You could be leading the NFC East after.
Yeah.
After 2 weeks.
It's gonna be an interesting game, but we'll see.
It's crazy to see after all these years, Cowboys have won a lot of division titles. Actually, that's not true because like it always goes back and forth. That's been the thing. But like Cowboys have routinely done decently well in the NFC East over the last couple of years, and it's funny even just for 1 week, like 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, and the Cowboys at 0-1 with it. I don't wish injury on anyone. Dak Prescott's a great guy.
Bye, Dak.
But he's injured now, so it's like the Cowboys are going to have a rough like next 8 weeks, and it feels really good.
Yes.
That guy, Cooper Rush, is going to lead the boys, America's team, to victory.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. He's terrible.
That's something that I always love is like Giants fans, Eagles fans hating the Cowboys.
Hating the Cowboys.
No
no one cares about the Commanders.
No, they're irrelevant. They're so irrelevant to the conversation. But like we just hanging on to that, like when the Cowboys lose, America wins. Like God, it's so nice.
Mm-hmm. It's great. Right now we've got the Kansas City Chiefs and Chargers game starting, so that should be a really good game. It's always fun with these Thursday night games where like it kind of sets the tempo going into it. Especially on the fantasy side of things. If you have one player play on Thursday night and they boom or they bust, it sets the entire tempo for the week of fantasy. Like if you have a Clyde Edwards-Helaire who's in your lineup and he drops like 30 points, you're like feeling really good about the week because you're already up 15 points on a projection. But then when you have a player who like gets injured, like say like Patrick Mahomes like throws at his shoulder first play of the game, then you're just like, this is awful. This sucks. I hate it here. So hopefully none of that happens. Well, I hope it happens for you guys, but not for me. That'd be great. I have Justin Herbert, so I really need him to play good. But he plays good against Chiefs. So.
If he could throw the ball to Mike Williams, that'd be great. He can throw the ball.
I read the mention. Keenan Allen got hurt. Peter, you were saying that it screwed me over my other league because now I'm like, now I'm starting someone at running back that at flex that I don't want to be playing because I had to move Michael Thomas off my flex and put him as wide receiver too. But anyway, I think that's going to be it. We didn't get to a few points, but that's okay because that means we talked about a lot of stuff, and we'll talk about it next week if we do it. Look out if you like Cobra Kai. Look out for our Cobra Kai full season review and overview. I am geeking to talk about it. I could talk on for. I am so excited. So if you made it this far on the podcast and you like Cobra Kai, tune in for that. If you don't like Cobra Kai, you should go watch all of Cobra Kai and then come watch our video
Indeed.
on Cobra Kai because it's exciting. I think it's gonna be Raj and I, just us. Kind of like our Secret of Dumbledore review, which blew up. So maybe we'll get the clicks.
Exactly.
But otherwise, boys, do you got anything before we sign off today?
Kenny Pickett will be the starter of the Pittsburgh Steelers by week 5.
And with that said, that is going to be the conclusion of the Washed Athlete podcast. Thanks everyone for tuning in. You can use code WASH20 at buckedup.com. Go follow us at all our socials down below. Make sure you subscribe, drop a like, and we will see you next time.
Peace, everybody. Stay
The
safe.
Bengals aren't going to make it to the Super Bowl this year.